All right, so we're doing order of operations with whole numbers, decimals, and fractions. So it's obviously important to remember our PEMDAS rules. All right, and I always write it like that because obviously you do these two first, but then when you get to multiplication and division, it always depends which one's first from left to right. Same thing with addition and subtraction. So we'll do a couple examples to make sure we understand. All right, so this first one, 2/3 to the third power times parentheses 3 plus 6 times 4 close parentheses. So obviously we start with P. We have two sets of parentheses. So we do what comes first. So starting over here on the left, I need to do 2/3 to the third power. So 2/3 times 2/3 times 2/3. All right, because remember with exponents, you just do that number however many times the exponent says. So our rule for multiplying fractions is you multiply straight across. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, so I've done this. I'm done with this part over here. Now I just need to do this part and then this parentheses. But you got to be careful because within those parentheses, you still have to go by your order of operations. So I've got addition and I've got multiplication. Well, if I look at my PEMDAS, multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction. So before I can do this addition, I need to take care of this multiplication right here. So I'm going to do 6 times 4, which would give me 24. And then plus 3 would be 27. So now my problem is, I'm just going to write over here, I've got 8 over 27 from this part over here, times, because that hasn't moved yet. Remember I did 6 times 4, got 24. 24 plus 3 gives me 27. All right, so now I just need to solve this. When you do a fraction times a whole number, you need to change this whole number to a fraction. So what I'm going to do is 8 over 27 times 27 over 1, because 27 over 1 is the same thing as 27. So now we can make life even easier by cross-canceling. All right, so these two right here will kind of cancel each other out. So therefore, it's just a 1 and a 1. So now it's 8 times 1 equals 8. 1 times 1 is 1. So the answer to this is just 8. All right, let's go down to the next one. This one involves some fractions. All right, 1/7 to the second power times 7 to the 0 power. All right, so PEMDAS again. Let me rewrite it right here so we can look back at it. Okay, I do have parentheses, excuse me. My parentheses are right here, and it also goes with these exponents. So I'm going to do 1/7 times 1/7. All right, 1 times 1 is 1. 7 times 7 is 49. Make sure you don't get in a hurry when you do those, because a lot of people will do 1 times 1 equals 2. And then they'll also say 7 times 7 is 14. So just be careful that you're actually paying attention. All right, so I've done this. My next step is this over here. Anything to the 0 power is going to equal 1. So it doesn't matter if this had been a 12, if this had been a 100, if it had been 1,000. It doesn't matter what the base is. If the exponent is a 0, then it's always going to equal 1. So now my problem is 1 over 49 times 1, which is just 1/49. Okay. All right. Going down to the next one. Let me write this again. All right. Parentheses right here with my exponent, so I got to do 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. And remember, I wrote it 4 times because this exponent right here is a 4. Okay, so 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is always just going to give me 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, so I've finished this part. Okay, so now I've done my parentheses, I've done my exponents, now I'm on to my multiplication and division. Well, if you look, we've got both of them in the problem. Now, a lot of people think that you have to do the multiplication first because M comes first in PEMDAS, Remember, the reason we stack them on top of each other is to let you know that you have to do whichever one comes first from left to right. So if I start over here at the beginning of the problem, I actually get to the division before I get to the multiplication. So I need to do this division before I do the multiplication. So 3/8 divided by, remember, we solved this. This right here is now this. Okay? So now we need to remember our rules for dividing fractions, and our rules for dividing fractions are that you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So now this becomes 3/8 times, remember you flipped that second fraction, and now it's 16/1. Okay, to make life a little bit easier, I'm going to cross cancel. So how many times 8 go into 8? It goes into it once. 8 goes into 16 twice. So now I'm just doing 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. So now I'm just left with 6. But remember, that's not the answer because I haven't finished all of my problem just yet. I still have this times 3 on the end. So instead of having all this right here, now I just have 6. So it's 6 times 3, which is just going to leave me with 18. Okay? Next one, we've got whole numbers here. All right, so I do have some parentheses. All right, so I'm going to pay attention to those parentheses first. So inside of my parentheses, I've got addition, exponents, and subtraction. So if we look at our PEMDAS, exponents come before addition and subtraction. So the first thing I need to take care of is that right there. So I'm going to rewrite this a little bit. All right, so now the only thing I have changed is I changed that 5 to the second power to 25, because remember 5 times 5 is 25. All right, so now inside my parentheses, I've got addition and subtraction. So therefore, I need to do my addition first, because when you have addition and subtraction, do whatever comes first, left or right. So 4 plus 2, 3 plus 25 is 28. Okay, now I'm going to do this part, this because it's still parentheses. I haven't finished what's in my parentheses yet. So 28 minus 6 would leave me with 22. Okay, so now I've got left multiplication, and I've got addition left. So order of operations, I have to do the multiplication before I can do the addition. So now it's 4 plus 2 times 22 is 44. Remember, when you have a number beside parentheses, it means you're multiplying. So now I just do 4 plus 44, and I get 48. All right, the last one, got some decimals. So I'm going to do my parentheses, my exponents first. So this part over here first. So I'm going to take this off to the side right here. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 7 is 14. 0. That's 14 again. That's 49 plus the 1 is 50. So we've got 4, 8, 1, 5. Remember, this is a spot, this is a spot, so I got to move my decimals 2 times. So 1, 2. So 51 and 84 hundredths. 84 hundredths. Okay, so now I just need to add these up. Now remember, when you add decimals, you do have to line up your decimals. So I've got 51 and 84 hundredths plus 7 and 5 tenths. I'm going to add this 0 to make sure everything's lined up nice and pretty. So this is 4, that's a 13, that's a 9, that's a 5, and you bring your decimal straight down. So my answer is 59 and 34 hundredths. So just to recap real quick, it's always important when you're doing order of operations that you follow those PEMDAS rules, but remember that you have to go from left to right with multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction.